Great. Well, welcome everyone. Thank you, Tara, and asking us to present at today's Transition Academy presentation. But my name, once again, is Rich Dominguez. I'm the Executive Director for Literacy Chicago. And just to give you a little background in regards to who we are a community-based organization. We've been around since 1968, providing adult education services. We started in a way in the beginning of just providing adult literacy programs, but based on our students' needs and environment and social changes, we are now expanding into various areas, with the latest ones being doing a lot more workforce trade programming. And this kind of brings us to our partnership with Unite Here Chicago Hospitality Institute, or what we call UHCHI, in our ICAPS program that we've been working with them since, I think, 2021. And just our relationship, how it developed, who we are, what they do, the impact on our students, and how things have evolved over the years and consistently change after each cohort. You know, we do evaluations and make changes accordingly. But you know, what we're talking about today is the importance of partnerships and building skills and developing relationships, not only with our students, but with our partnerships and employers, to address the need that we see out in the marketplace. UHCHI is called Unite Here Chicago Hospitality Institute. They are a non-for-profit labor management workforce organization that focuses on recruiting, training, and placement of union jobs within the Unite Here hospitality industry. They are U.S. Department of Labor registered apprenticeship program, and they provide the hands-on portion to this IET initiative and the pre-apprenticeship. And then students we'll talk about this in a few minutes, but then the students will transition into the hands-on apprenticeship training once they go through the initial 8-week program. But it's an incredible organization. This partnership has evolved since day one. We had an instant connection, and we'll kind of go through our relationship and how it was developed and how we're grooming it and what we're looking towards in the future in regards to expanding the program and our role and how we can assist. UHCHI is the gold star relationship for us. And you know, we're very fortunate that we have this relationship and how it's developed and how we see it moving forward in the future, and the possibilities are endless. So with that said, we're kind of going to go through this presentation. Feel free to put questions in the chat, and if you want to be part of the dialogue. But we kind of formatted this that any of our team members, which like Tara may mention, are Marisol, who's my lead IET instructor, Cheryl Morris, who's the executive director for UHCHI, and Chef Victor, who is the lead chef in the kitchen with this program. They're going to jump in as necessary to add to the conversation, but we're looking for input from all of you and questions and how we could, you know, help or give ideas on what we're doing to maybe help you with your programs as well. So I think our next step is probably to talk about how this all started. So I'm going to turn this over to Cheryl to start the conversation in regards to how this came about, what she felt was needed with her program, and how things went from that point.
Thanks so much, Rich. And Tara, thanks so much for inviting us back. We're just so excited to be a part of this because I think as we are building our work, I think that we're also learning as we go, right? And that's how we continue to, I think, develop newer best practices. If you got to kind of go after it to get to it. Essentially, excuse me, I'm a little under the weather today, so my voice is a little raspy. I want to take one quick step back and just say that, you know, we are a new registered apprenticeship in non-traditional trades. We're the first of its kind for the state of Illinois, only second to Los Angeles Hospitality Training Academy. And we're excited about our opportunity to actually help to rebuild the hospitality industry. Prior to the pandemic, the U.S. Unite Here Local 1 had like 15,000 members. And then post-pandemic, they ended up with about 10,000. And so, as you can imagine, with the Great Resignation and people also jumping ship to go to other industries, the hospitality industry really needs rebuilding. And we bravely launched our program in April of 2021. And it was a moment of, so do you give the money back to DCEO, or do you kind of go ahead and actually like roll with the program? And so thanks to Hire 360 being the lead on the grant, we were able to go ahead and jump in and start running the program out of the McCormick place. So that's also another blessing. Um, we're born out of Unite Here Local 1 in partnership with more than 60 employer partners, different hotels and stuff that we'll talk about a little bit more, but like the Ritz-Carlton, the Drake Hotel, the Hyatts and the Hiltons and the Marriotts, they're all our partners. And so we'll unpack that a bit more. But I wanna start by saying how we decided that we needed help from an organization like Literacy Chicago. Um, at the time I was a team of one person in May of 21 when I started with the organization as the ED. And I was doing everything. Like I was taking applications from people. I was, getting like WIOA paperwork, the whole nine. And there was a gentleman that came in, really sweet man, and it took him almost 2 hours to complete his application. And so I kept going back and forth, like, is there something I can help you with? And he just kept saying, no, no, he was fine. Right. But when he brought me the application, almost 2 hours later, I realized it was still sparse with information. It was, and it was things that I figured, okay, there's something going on because, but he didn't identify it. I just kind of picked up on it from being in this work for a really long time. And so I went through the application. I helped him to finish completing the application. And this man had been working in the hospitality industry as a cook at the Sheraton Grand for probably 15 years, but he was good at what he did, right? So you didn't know that he had any kind of literacy or numeracy challenges. Interestingly enough, he was actually a stowaway more than 30 years prior, coming to America from Jamaica, right? He's got a really amazing story, but he's been kind of like, he had been kind of living in the shadows for a really long time and just kind of piecemealed his way through. So that evening, I got online and started going through social media with some of my contacts in the workforce world saying, hey, I need help. Like, who can you connect me to? I need somebody to come in and help me with some literacy stuff because as we know, a lot of people that have literacy challenges, they don't identify it, but they somehow end up making a way for themselves in the workforce, not necessarily getting to the heights that they could, but they make ends meet. So Becky Raymond, who is the executive director for now Scale It, she says, you know what, get in touch with Literacy Chicago. Literally that next morning I called and we were just starting our second cohort. So this was in July of 21. And they immediately responded to our needs. They came out to take a look at our program. And right away, they started to just kind of take a look at our apprentices' scores. And they started us with a tutor right away. And so they began to contextualize our curriculum for tutoring. And we've been on this journey ever since. I mean, I can stop there, Rich, so maybe you can pick it up a little bit more before you jump back in. So for our attendees, we want this to be more of a warm conversation because we're learning as we go. And we're really encouraging folks to like take notes, like little bits and pieces that you might grab, and you have questions, please do, like Rich said, throw things in the chat. We want to learn from you, like what your needs are, and where we may be really great at what we're great at. We want to be able to learn and take some golden nuggets away from this conversation as well.
Yeah, I'd like to add that, when a new program initiative reaches out to us, I have my program manager reach out and get more information. But we don't say no to anybody. So when we heard of this opportunity, it's like, wow, this is. I have I lean towards cooking, so I think it's fun. So I was like, yes, let's definitely figure something out. So I think it was like within a week and a half or a week, we had we started with some volunteers because it was such short notice to develop a curriculum in regards to, helping with the reading and some ESL language skills. And from that point, it developed to a a program that we've been doing since then. But now there is a formalized curriculum that has been created based on what the students are teaching. I mean, are being taught, and we work um, hand in hand with Chef Victor, and now Marisol is our instructor, and they'll talk about their relationship and the nuances between them. But it is a very um, cultivated relationship. It started off as just let's get in there and see what's going on. That now we've had the opportunity after each cohort to sit back, evaluate, and to adjust accordingly of what makes sense. We've identified, and we'll talk about this as well, challenges and barriers that students have had that we've been able to overcome or work towards resolving for them. And so it's a constant process. I mean, it's not, um, fitting a square into a round circle. And for us being a CBO, we do have more flexibility in regards to making changes in our programs to adapt to the needs of the students and the partners and the employers. I know there may be people on the call that are with universities or different colleges that have more structured policies that there isn't so much flexibility. But what we're talking about today is not only the program aspect of it, but it's cultivating those relationships that are outside the realm of of your program. So it's developing the relationships with the employers, listening to the employers, listening to the students of what challenges they're having, or why haven't they been in school? Why haven't they learned a trade? Why aren't they working? What's hindering them from advancing? And a lot of times, family situations occur and, things happen. These are adults. They're not, students in school. These are adults trying to make a living and support their families. So there's lots of challenges. So we try and take a step back and listen and evaluate what's going on. And I think that makes our program, or UT's program, more unique because I'm gonna throw this out there, Cheryl, and correct my quote, but is it once UT, always UT, which I think is really great because we've seen throughout the various cohorts, students coming back to mentor other students, which I think is very important and very unique sometimes in these type of situations. So yeah, so we're trying to just elaborate the structure and how we approach things that maybe we could give some tidbits or help other organizations or other CVOs or universities develop their programs and see what's out there. I think the outcomes from our IET program has been phenomenal because of the structure the program is. Right now it's 8 weeks, and they learn all the knife skills, they learn sauces and techniques and everything that they need to know. And then they're transitioned into 1,000 hours of apprenticeship training where that's where they really get the hands-on approach and see the day-to-day life within the hospitality and industry. But sure, if you want to add anything about
Yeah, can we advance the slides?
yeah.
Yeah, that'd be helpful.
Uh,
Again,
yeah.
Again? Okay.
Rich, let me know
Yeah.
where you are in your slides.
Probably like the shared vision
Another
and
one
yeah. Yeah.
here. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So, so I think one of the big things that we realized as we started working together was Rich wanted to support our work, and our shared vision was through helping to build confidence and just helping to give people the skills and the talents that they needed in order to be successful. But I think that that came through a lot of what Rich said, just listening to each other, really ongoing evaluation of our students, and also finding the right tutor was another really big deal. Also figuring out how to make the tutoring sessions engaging and not calling it tutoring. Actually, that was something that we were very deliberate about. So because we are a culinary program, we actually, well, they came up with this. I think maybe Rich and his team came up with it being called extra seasoning, which is, which is just another way of the apprentices actually feeling good about this skill development. And so I wanna just lift up one other piece of how this relationship really showed itself successfully for us. Again, with this flexibility and the adaptability of the partnership, because we're great at what we're great at, and we're still learning. But I think that one of the things that a lot of agencies, large or small, is we don't oftentimes enough outsource things for people that are going to be better at it than we are. So we try to do too many things without taking a deeper dive. And sometimes when you go deeper, you can actually go further and you get better outcomes. And I'm saying that because we have one young lady that she's from China, and she had been in the United States for about 3 years. And when she started with us in July of 21, her English was extremely rough, admittedly. And she
Mhm.
she was so committed to going to the tutoring twice a week that by the time we were in about week 6 or week 7, her tutor had just been working with her on site. She had been working with her off site as well. And by the 8th week of our program, she was able to actually write her speech in English, and she spoke at our milestone ceremony. Seeing that woman a year later, like she would come back by, like Rich said, once UHCHI, always UHCHI. She'd come by, she was just so proud of the development that she had experienced working with our program. She would come by and see Chef Victor. She would bring us treats. Like she was just so excited. But what it did also was it helped to build her confidence in her communication at work. Okay. So when you have that, then you have employees that are going to be happier at work, and then that actually helps them as they're developing skills. She's now able to actually help with more management and things of that nature. So that's another big part of why this partnership has been so successful for us. Ongoing continuous improvement, and I consider that a real best practice.
Yes, definitely. As we proceed forward in regards to relationship building and everything, I, I said this before, but one of the key factors is listening and and the relationship building between us, and having the trust factor that if I say, Cheryl, that's probably not the best way to go with this, it's not taken offensively. It's it's we're looking out for the best interests of our students, and and that goes both ways. If there's an issue or things that we need to tweak on our side, that we listen and we'll adjust accordingly as well. But it's there's three buckets in our relationship. There's the students, our partnership, and the employers. It's critical that we specifically listen to the employers as well, since this is a career pathway program, that we're listening to them and what they see as future employees, and for their restaurants and hotels, and what they need. To me, it doesn't make much sense for us to just teach them a trade that's not going to fulfill the employer's needs. So it's a constant evaluation of, how our students are proceeding through the program, how they're doing it at their job, and the follow-up, 3, 6 months afterwards, from the employers, like, yeah, this Marianne was great at knife skills and she does this in the kitchen, she does this that, or the opposite, I would think we're open to it. So if they say that, we need, she should have had more training in this aspect, that's something that being flexible in our curriculum that we could adjust. So future students don't run into those situations. So, the employers and the dialogue is critical, especially, with Cheryl's relationships with these 60 plus restaurants and hotels. I mean, it's incredible the opportunities that these students have, and to have the ability to transition into a position where they may not have had the opportunities in the past without going through this program and learning these skills. And now UHCHI's reputation is out there that they're providing outstanding students and outstanding employers, that that people are coming to them as a go-to, like, hey, can you help us out?
Mhm. Thank you, Rich, for that. I think that Tara, you mentioned early on about apprenticeships, and I think that, Rich, just adding to people not being sure what direction that they might want to go in. I think that that's a big part of apprenticeships as well. And that's why, the state of Illinois is doing a major push on apprenticeships and cultivating the idea of apprenticeships and them not always just being traditional trades. As a registered apprenticeship, we're considered a non-traditional trade in the culinary world, but it's an opportunity for folks to get into an industry and really build a career, because I think that a lot of people that may be interested in breaking into the hospitality industry, they have no idea how to do it. And a lot of times our people, again, that struggle with literacy, numeracy, and ESL, they don't think that they're worthy of getting into the hospitality industry. And it's almost like it's like the abyss. They don't know how to get there. But then people also don't know how to apply, because if they have literacy issues and they have digital literacy issues, like people just can't penetrate the barriers there. So it's actually a barrier. Some Last year we actually had a run of series of Let's Work Together is what we called it. And we had employers to come in and talk to us about what the benefits were of working with apprenticeships, but also what some of their needs were. And we identified literacy and literacy, numeracy, and ESL as a part of DEIA, right? Because for people that struggle with literacy and numeracy and so forth, it's a breakdown in the diversity, equity, and inclusion and that on that platform, because it's really something that everyone should have a core access to. And so we're definitely responding to the needs of the employers. And as a result, like, I've actually started connecting Literacy Chicago to more organizations, not only CBOs, or community-based organizations, but also to other for-profit companies that are interested in continuing to do some more skill development with their people. We can unpack that a little bit more as we go down a little further, if you like, Rich.
Yeah.
What about the next slide here? Yeah. The barrier reduction assistance. You want to jump there, Rich?
Yeah. So, you know, we all know our students, or not just students, but everyone has challenges in life. So we have taken the approach of, this goes back, if I sound like a record, but it is to listening to our students in regards to what challenges they're experiencing, or challenges that they have. But our program is overall, the program is very robust. It's 8 weeks. It's Monday through Friday. It's 8 to 3:34, and these are adults. A lot of these adults have not been in school for 10, 15 years, or maybe didn't do well in school. And so now to be thrown in this environment where it's Monday through Friday, and they're being taught these skills, and then they participate in our supplementary program with Marisol, it's overwhelming. It was just too much for some students. So, we're trying to, Cheryl identified after a certain number of weeks where people were struggling, and Chef Victor. And, so they identified this additional need that we felt like we need to help resolve this issue of some students being overwhelmed, and it's just too much for them. So this summer we started a pilot program, like a bridge program, to try and hit those issues. And for the classroom pieces that Marisol works on, it's a lot of contextualized culinary math, the vocabulary, even getting to the location on time as if you're being employed. So all these soft skills are also incorporated in our pilot, but the math, I never thought about the math in this field until this class. I never thought about, okay, well, it's a recipe, it's right there in front of me, but I'm not looking at it as I'm a cook. I'm not taking a recipe that I pulled off the internet for 6 servings, but now I got to serve 145 people. What's the formula? And that's part of the curriculum, is like these contextualized um, problem situations that students have to resolve every day when they're working in a restaurant. So with this pilot program, we're trying to eliminate some of those stress levels and some of those barriers for this aspect of this one barrier of feeling overwhelmed. So I think so far it's gone well, and we're in our second cohort. Well, we're in the first cohort with the pilot, but the next cohort we're hoping to expand the pilot to the traditional for 4 weeks or so, to give them a head start in regards to learning some of the vocabulary and math assistance that we see that they're struggling with. So, and the bridge program is going to be a lot more. It's going to be career exploration and the hospitality and other aspects of it as well. But we're trying to target specific areas where we see the greatest challenges. Marisol and Chef Victor, do you want to jump in and see or add it whether you think it's working?
Yeah, I mean, I think that working with these students has been very great. I love working with them. So the way that it works with the extra seasoning course that I give is that they have their courses during the day, and then after the course is done, they come to me for 2 days a week. And I get to talk to them and just we unpack things a little bit more and review things. If they have any questions, I usually answer them. If I don't know, then I ask Chef Victor. I'm not a chef myself, so we bounce ideas off of each other, and it's great. It's a moment for them to really reflect. That's the way I see this classroom, as a moment for them to just breathe and unpack and talk about their day and just to review. And I see that it's very positive for the students. Well, I don't know. What do you think, Chef Victor?
So it's really great for the students because they're able to see two different styles. And so they see me pretty much all day. And so towards the end, that's where they're able to go after cleanup, after, we've done the lecture part, and then go into the kitchen and then the cleanup. And then they're able to go ahead and enjoy the food that they prepared. And then they get to sit down with Marisol. And then that's where, she dives in and this whole curriculum, it's very intense. And so what we do is we try to make sure they understand the fundamentals. And so what she does is she reiterates it in the classroom setting again, so that way they're able to talk about it as well and see what happened and see how their dishes came out. And so it's a great learning opportunity, because also I encourage them to make mistakes here, because at the end of the day, that's where they learn the most, when they make mistakes. And this is a great platform that I'm not evaluating that one's better than the other. No, there's no judging. It's they only look and reflect on their own dishes and so forth. So it's a great collaboration. You know, we that extra seasoning. You know, Marisol also includes other techniques that I don't have time to, focus on, but she does a bigger overview. And so that way people come to me the next morning and they're asking me questions, and I'm like, yeah, oh yeah, absolutely. She showed you how to braise, an ossobuco. Fantastic. Yes. Ask me these questions. Come in asking me. So that's how you piggyback. And it's fantastic.
Yeah, I agree.
All right. There we go. Can Marisol, do you want to actually Chef Victor and Marisol together, if you wouldn't mind, kind of touching bases on the structure of the program and the credentials, and Marisol, maybe you could talk about some of the techniques and the multi-language approach and what you're seeing within this environment of this program.
So the credentials are, so we do prerequisites for people before we select them to enroll into our program. Again, it's a very intensive program. So we do a 6-hour knife skills assessment, where me or another chef instructor gets to do a demo, and then the apprentice or the candidate is going to, replicate that knife cut. And then we also have a 6-hour kitchen math assessment, where, I'm going over conversions. We do the imperial system, so we don't dive into the metric, but nonetheless, we do costing and decimals and so forth. And then another one is the CASAs, where we, see what grade level they're at. So in English and in math. And so that actually helps us evaluate them and helping them. And then the last one is we get to interview the candidate by a chef. So either myself, or we have 2 other chef instructors on staff. And so we get to know them. And see what their intentions, because how our program works is that we're basically the feeder for the local 1 union. And so what that does is that we use, our experiences in helping and developing these next future culinarians that are going to go into the workforce. And so out of that program, once they're completed the 8 weeks, they will earn the credentials of the Serve Safe food handlers. They also will receive a certificate from the American Hotel and Lodging Educational Institute, excuse me. And then they also will receive a Unite Here Cook certification as well. So those are the credentials.
Well, then they transition from our 8-week program to their on-the-job placement, where they then become full-time employees with our employer partners. Like we mentioned, like the Ritz-Carlton. Right now we have about 10 apprentices working at the United Center. And then Chef, do you want to talk a little bit about the evaluations that they're required to do to get their journey worker credential?
Yes, so we do a 500-hour check-in with the employer partner, and then we do and see how they're doing, and just check in their attitude plus their skill, and see if it's the right fit. Because our goal for them is again to provide good workers to be able to, and that are competent in working in those operations. And then we do 1,000-hour. And then 1,000-hour, again, it needs to be a successful competency where they're able to, understand and be ready just to be a full-time, full-on, worker. They will get on the job training, with pay. So it's a win-win. It's a win for the apprentice and it's a win for the employer.
Yeah, and
Marisol, do you want to go ahead?
well, about contextualized multilingual support. So what we do in the class is that we teach Spanish as well to the students. So Chef, he gave me a list of just different key terminology that is very common in the hospitality industry. And I review that with the students during class. So a lot of times I have Spanish speakers in my class, so they come in and they help me too to just practice with the other students that don't know Spanish. And this really helps just really bring people together, because in the kitchen, yes, they speak English, but also there's a lot of people that just speak Spanish. So having that just that vocabulary is important for people going into the workforce of hospitality to connect with those that don't know and just know Spanish. So it's very good. I think just having multilingual in the classroom in general. We live in a country where there's a lot of different cultures and a lot of different languages. So the more you can connect with people through different languages, the better. And it's just gonna continue to increase. So I'm really proud to have this in my classroom.
So the way that we actually decided to ask, I think Chef Victor actually reached out to Literacy Chicago to ask about integrating some workplace Spanish, because Chef Victor, do you want to share the story about Alfred?
Sure. So we had an apprentice where he got out a job at a fast-paced restaurant environment. And so it was a busy night, and he told me the story that he was running out of product. And then he asked one of his teammates, hey, where's the chicken wings? Where are they located? Oh, it's in the walk-in cooler. So Alfred goes inside the walk-in cooler, couldn't find the product. All he sees is containers. He's on that rush adrenaline. And then so he gets frustrated after a minute of searching. He goes back and he tells his teammate, I can't find the chicken. Where is it at? And so next thing you know, the teammate goes in the walk-in, pulls it out, and on the label, it says pollo, which means chicken. And so Alfred actually came to talk to the students. And so he told me the story, and that's where I'm like, wow, we should definitely integrate this into the curriculum, because this is much needed, especially, having so many people coming to the country now with migrants, that's much needed.
Yeah, very much agree.
Can I go to the next slide? So this kind of lends itself to the story that Chef Victor just talked about in regards to listening and watching our students in the workforce and some of the challenges once they move into these roles. And Chef Victor, I don't know if you want to talk about the need about the digital literacy component that came about based on conversations with students and employers.
Yes. So I have one property who's actually it's a big operation that he manages. And so he likes to ask me for apprentices, but he doesn't like me sending him resumes. And so he's like, look, do me a favor. Can you ask your apprentices to show me that they're interested? Send me an email, just give me with the resume and give me a small bio. And so I've noticed that, because I've asked the apprentices to CC me on the emails while they forward it to the chef. And so I noticed that there's a lot of, no subject line. It appears like instead of emailing, they're texting. And so, I was like, wow, this doesn't look as professional as I would like for it to be. So that's when I reached out to, to the team, and I asked them, can we integrate that email etiquette into the program? And they said yes. And it's been fantastic.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and what's the name of the program, Chef Victor, again?
Also, we call it digital nutrition because it just sounds a lot nicer.
Right.
So I want to add to that if I could. Thanks, Chef Victor and Marisol. I think that all the things that you all are hearing here are our responses to not only our students and apprentices needs, but also to the needs of the workforce, right? And I think it's important that we kind of lean in on understanding that part of the work, because we're trying to build people to become good good workers in this industry, but I think also giving them the tools that they need to help navigate the industry and their lives. We did not talk about the fact that we also have a partnership with BMO Harris that comes in, or BMO at this point. They come in, they do financial literacy. Ladder Up is also one of our core partners that comes in and helps us out with like onboarding paperwork and credit building and all of these things. And they also do tax preparation. And so it's, we really do take a holistic approach. And once we understand more about what our employers need, we can then turn around and say, okay, Literacy Chicago, can you help us with this? Because everything that's done to apply for jobs is where? It's online. Okay. And so if our people can't read significantly enough to navigate through the application process, then they're stuck with where they started, essentially.
Right. And part of the program, we use the North Star assessment to help identify needs. And I'm not sure if everyone knows what that is, but it's a great online tool where we can assess a student's ability. And we can also, there's lots of modules and lessons based on where a student is at, if they're a very beginner, if they're more advanced, and other techniques that they could use. We could assign homework if we need to. And so it's a great tool. And we do it on both ends, just like the CASA. So we do it in the beginning when they enroll, and we test their digital capabilities. And then we will do an assessment at the end to show advances based on what they learn within the 8-week program as well.
So we've gotten a couple things in the chat. One person, ICAPS, mentioned that one of the challenges that they face with their CDL students is they have to end up choosing the program or working at night, right? And so we experience the same thing. Our apprentices oftentimes have to either work either on the weekends or in the evenings, and then try to still come in and like process all this information. And it's hard. And my response to him was like, attrition is probably one of our biggest barriers to the success of our program, which is why we were then which is why we had to end up kind of moving the tutoring sessions around a little bit. Cause at one point, I think we had maybe 3 days, I think we were doing at first. And then we scaled it back to accommodate the apprentices' schedules. So Mitri, thank you for that. And then B. Greer also asked about like the roles and the and the pay and all that. So I just wanted to acknowledge that.
Yeah, and just one thing I want to touch base that with the union job, Cheryl, if I'm misspeak, please stop me. But they're paid a wage for the job they're doing, as well as receiving benefits as well, correct?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, Like the average wage folks are getting now is about, I think it's up to about 16.50 at this point. And our apprentices are generally going in on average at $23 an hour. And we have some that like they've been on their job for, and it depends on the property because some of them are starting at, Chef Victor, what is it, like 24 or 25 an
Right.
hour? Yeah,
25.
it depends on the property. But you know, I think the wages and stuff are great. I think that a part of why the financial literacy piece of this work is also so valuable is because similar to construction, our work can also be very seasonal, right? So there's like the highs and lows of the industry that we work with our apprentices to have a better understanding on around how to save their money as they're save while they're earning more. So they may get a bulk of hours over the summertime, but then we encourage them to kind of put some of that money away, don't spend it all, so that they can actually have a little bit more left to hang on to during the slower periods.
Yeah, I think that's great because I know when we talked that, some of the participants do not have insurance. So this is a big deal for them to acquire that benefit, especially during an apprenticeship training, because I don't know many that would get those benefits while they're learning. So it's an added bonus. Marisol, do you want to talk about the behaviors and the communication process a little bit?
Yeah, so this semester or cohort, I started to integrate communication for the workplace. So communication is vital wherever you work, not just kitchen, but just anywhere. And in any it's when you're working, you need to be able to communicate with all sorts of people. You got people that are quiet, you got people that speak their mind, you got people that you don't really know what's going on because they never say anything. So I integrated communication in the classroom so that, number one, the students got to learn who their classmates are. I think that's important, especially when you're working in the kitchen, to know who you're working with. So that was one. And also that so that I could give them ideas of, what to do when you have an issue in the workplace. How do you handle that? So we talked about being assertive, passive, or aggressive. And that was a really interesting class because we really got to see where each student kind of was at. So with that, I was able to suggest assertive responses and give them ideas like, well, if this is happening, I know you want to do it like this, but maybe taking it this way would be better to help alleviate any pressure points. So just talking about different communications, how to work with other people, because we live in a country where there's a lot of different nationalities. Another big thing that I really enjoyed and the students really enjoyed talking about as well was nonverbal communication. So what we say is important. Yes, 100%. But what we don't say can sometimes be highlighted even more. So that was nonverbal communication. And we got to see how in different countries, different nonverbal gestures mean different things, and how to use how to be aware and mindful of also our nonverbal communication. So that was very interesting because we got to just learn about different cultures as well as just how people think in the classroom, because every person is their own world, and just getting to see everybody's responses was very interesting. And we definitely all got to learn a little bit about each other and our upbringings. And yeah, that was the nonverbal component of it. But just bringing communication really helped the students out, and something important in the
Yeah, I think it's really important just to learn the behavioral concepts and what it means and how people react to different situations. So I'm really glad you incorporated that into the program, Marisol, because people are different. People react differently when someone says something. Um, we all been in a situation where you read an email. It may be an innocent email, but if you're in a bad mood, you take it differently than 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 the intent. And especially in the kitchen where it's high stress and there's lots of things going on, it's working with those situations to react in a way that it's not going to be confrontational, but supportive and to get the job done. But I think that's a really interesting component to the program. I think it's something that we haven't really talked about in the past, but so I'm glad that that's been incorporated and that will be ongoing, because I think that is a tool and a resource that is vital for our students to understand and um, and react accordingly based on the situation. So thank you.
Mhm.
So the next slide is talking about a few different aspects. One is the expansion and growth. And what I want to talk about this is that the relationship we have, as Shirley mentioned, she has referred a number of different organizations to us to work with them with similar programs or maybe ESL or workforce programs. And one example recently is that a referral from UHCHI is that we are now working with local Union 1 again, and they're working with the employers at O'Hare Airport and working with the the employees of the folks who create the food for the airlines. So they work for a company that they provide the food trays that you'd receive. They deliver to the airlines and to the airplane, and they load it up. And so what we found out, there was a lot of employees that were from Venezuela and other Latin America countries where um, they didn't have any English skills or very little. So we started two new programs, actually October 1st, and we have 50 students participating with a waiting list. So this was our pilot program for the fall, and then we're going to be expanding hopefully come January with additional either courses or expanding the ones we have now to incorporate more individuals that want to participate. We have the two programs. There's one late morning and one late afternoon to accommodate the different shifts of when people are starting or getting off of work. So it's partnerships that are being developed based on the UHCHI relationship. But my point being is that it's communication and looking to your environment to see who you work with and who supports you, or to network and to get involved, because I would never have met this individual, to be honest. And to provide this opportunity for their employees has been incredible. And they're great people, and the students are just thrilled. And what's nice about it is that the team leads are all on board. So they're really insisting that they participate in these programs, because it's not only helping them in their current role, but it's allowing them to learn skills. So as they look for future opportunities, that's just a stepping stone and something that will help them advance in their careers or at home. So that is just an opportunity that came about based on this relationship. The Illinois thing that's listed here, I'll be actually talking about this later in the month with the Transition Academy. And this is a project that we're working on with our IET partners in regards to identifying different aspects of how we approach our programs. So it's questions we may ask at intake, questions we may ask in the midst of the program, and then at the end of the program to help learn and develop it even more so for the next group that'll be coming down the pipeline. And then just fostering resilience. I mean, it takes a lot for adults to come back and to learn a new trade, to learn skills that they may not have had, or maybe in the background had a passion. So it's just fostering those techniques and skills and learning opportunities for these people that, like I said, may not have been in school for 15 years. So the support of overcoming challenges and having them learn these skills and get into the workforce is just been rewarding for us as an organization to see the growth and the potential that our students have, and developing the partnerships with UHCHI and others that come about based on our conversations, and seeing the joy in our students' face when they get their Department of Labor chef de partie certificate, and all the work that they put through over the past year to accomplish those goals and to learn the skills. And it's amazing. I mean, one of my highlights is that Cheryl and her team does do quarterly cohort banquets. So we get to reap the benefits of everything that they're learning in there. And it's a great network opportunity. And that's what we're trying to get at, that the partnerships are developed in those situations sometimes. And to expand it has just been a joy and incredible to see how our students transition from day one when we met them to where they're at the end. One of the last things I just want to say, and please jump in, Cheryl and the team, if you want to add, but we're not here only to tell our students stories. We are here to support them in their next steps in their stories. So we're playing one part in their life, in their overall journey. So we're just trying to give them some tools and resources and trying to have them transition so they're the best employees that we can offer, and the employers are happy and they're successful. And it's a chain effect. If you like your job, then it's not really a job. It's a passion, and there's feeling behind it, and empathy and growth. And those are some of the characteristics that I think we try to instill in employees, of the students, that change is always around us. So adapting to change and thinking outside the box and pursuing your goals, it's up to you. And I think that's really important, that we see their transitions and how they support each other. And like I said before, Cheryl has a whole group of students that come back and mentor existing students, and it makes a difference. So.
Thank you so much, Rich. So we're at time, everyone. And Rich, I'll let you close it up, but thank you so much. This has been a huge honor to be present to this room and to talk about our partnership, because Literacy Chicago has truly become a baked-in part of our work. And our apprentices would not be where they are without Rich and his team, and just being on the journey with us and helping us to, again, you'll hear me say strengthen their muscle, because they're building muscles that have been asleep for a long time when adults decide to take on the journey to come back and to come to the workforce to do something different from what they've been doing. So we're just grateful to be here, and hopefully we'll hear from some of you guys if you're interested. Thanks.
Well, thank you so much to our presenters for coming today to share about your amazing partnership that you have with each other, with your students. I just hear everything is so just student-centered and focused on their journey. And thank you so much for sharing your partnerships with them, with each other, with your employers, and sharing some specific information about your ICAPS and apprenticeship programs. It's been so amazing for the field to hear about. And thank you to our attendees for coming to the 2024 Transitions Academy Fall Convening.